Welcome back to Animating with Dapper. Today in our first episode we'll be making a little TF2 model on Sawmill. First we're going to load up our own little background. There's a lot of little maps to choose from around here. Most of them have some pretty good spots to pose, but we're looking for something a little wintry today because we want a winter landscape. I think cold front's a pretty good pick, so we're gonna go with that. And while the map's loading, I'm gonna remind you of the different brushes I'll be using today. We'll be using the HWM models from the TF Movies folder. We'll be using a couple of props from the Frontline pack. And we'll also be using the lighting and camera equipment in vanilla SFM. Alright. Now that our map's up, we're gonna go ahead and try and find a nice scenic spot to pose our models. I recommend somewhere outdoorsy because the lighting's quite nice on this map. Sunlight always helps out. And I really like the look of this cliff, so I think we're gonna pose right here. Alright, if you hit the plus button, we can add in a new camera, drag it on. It's gonna put it somewhere else on the map, but we still have that spot picked out on our work camera. So let's go ahead and bring it up there. Excellent. I like to work with a lower field of view whenever I'm placing my cameras because it just gives the image a more authentic look. Alright, now that we're in the work camera, we're going to add a model. I think today, let's go ahead and go with the sniper. I'm going to have a little sniper poster today. Alright, so now that we have the model laying down using the root transform, we're going to rotate him into position. I'd like to have a little poster of him sniping on the ridge here. I think that'd be a good look. Laying down, of course. Alright, let's go ahead and repose our camera real quick. There we go. Alright, so we're going to pick up his arms here. Just remember to keep your model nice and relaxed. There's no need for any sort of stiffness or sharp angles. Alright, so now that we have him in a generic lying down position, we're going to look for clipping real quick. We can use the main camera to do that. You can see his arm is a little too low. Go ahead and fix that. Excellent. I plan on reposing these hands later to hold the rifle anyways, so we're not going to bother with that now. Let's go ahead and pick up his leg. Happy little legs. Happy, happy little legs. There we go. Alright. The clipping isn't too abundant. It actually looks like he's sunken down in the snow, and I'm quite happy, so I'm ready to get on to the more fine posing. So of course we're going to have to add the sniper model. I think I'm going to go with the Hitman's Heat Maker, or whatever it's called. Models, it's called Pro Rifle. There we go. Of course, using our work camera to pose because we can get some better angles here. While posing, if your scene is dark for some reason, you can of course disable lighting in this menu, but since we're outside, we don't really need to bother with that. There we go. I'm going to bring his arm back a bit. Having some issues getting his arm in the correct position. Sometimes it's nice to actually get out of your chair and pretend you're doing the pose yourself. That helps sometimes, although you look very strange. Alright, having issues seeing the bones here. I'm wondering... Oh, there we go. If you hit space, your timeline begins, and whenever you hold control, you can't see your bones. That happens quite frequently because my fingers are a bit clumsy. Alright, his fingers are not exactly going exactly where I want them. The more and more I talk. There we go. So now that we have the hand properly holding the rifle, we should be able to, I'm sorry, that's on the wrong camera. Now if we find his right hand bone, click on it, and then drag it over the weapon bone of the rifle, and they're now stuck together, so wherever the hand goes, the rifle goes. Using that, we can properly position the rifle, and now we can bring the other hand out into the front. Just about got it. There. Also, I might mention, if you want, you can right-click on the model and find Rig Biped Simple. Some people find it easier to pose that way, but I prefer rotating. It's really up to preference. Doesn't really matter. Alright. These back fingers don't matter too much because they're not visible within the actual camera, but if you ever think you're going to change angles, it's probably easier to do now than later. Alright, now we've got a pretty good model. Posed really well, shoulders are relaxed, arms aren't too far up, and the hands are in a convincing position. We have minimal clipping, although I might bring this foot up a bit. Alright, be sure to use your character's spine a lot. Many positions that you want your models in do not have a perfect spine. Just be sure to keep it flowy. Remember that the human body is angular, but it is also smooth. Alright. So now we need to decide whether to call it or not. I think I'm going to add a few more models. I'm probably going to add an ammunition can from the frontline pack, because the frontline props look quite nice. No. It's always important to consider whether or not what you're adding actually helps the composition. I feel like the can would just feel clunky here, so I'm actually going to remove it. It's just a happy little mistake. It's always removable. You can see our model's eyes are not correctly aligned. That's normal. If you click on the model and go to eyes up, down, left, right, you're able to fix them. You can also use the view target tool, which should be about here, and you can put it wherever you want them to look. Alright. So now that we have them in position, let's see if we want to add any items. I will be using the Community Dead of Night model, which is under the All class, I believe. Alright, the model is labeled Xmas 2013 Jacket. Alright. Jacket, there we go. If you can't find a model, typically a quick Google will help you out. Now what we're going to be doing here is dragging the entire sniper model onto the Dead of Night jacket. Now all of the bones which match up in these two menus are bound, so body is bound, arms are bound, fingers are bound, with the sniper holding the jacket. Now if we click on the jacket and find procedural. If we drag down to 0, you'll see it actually brings the bones together, fitting the jacket quite snugly on our sniper. You can see the arm clipping here. We're going to check inside of his body groups and see if there's a fix. No, I'm not seeing a fix. So now we will, if we click this little cursor by Xmas 2013 jacket, it's no longer selectable in the menu, so we can unbind it. There we go, unlock transforms. Now we can move this arm slightly behind, and then of course move the hand back. Excellent. So now we don't have that small clipping issue. There's also a small issue in here. We just click the spine part, move it. Simple. All right. I can still kind of see that. There. All right. Now that we have those slight issues taken care of, our model looks quite nice. I'm going to go to Set Body Groups, Hat, and click None. It's important if you need something taken off your model for any reason, you can use the Body Group menu. Some things cannot be removed, but most objects can. Now if we go into this menu to add Team Fortress items, some TF2 items will be in here for you to add automatically without having to drag and use the 0 slider. I think I'll be using the Well-Rounded Rifleman. Excellent. I think I'm also going to add the Cozy Camper here.
Wow, Dapper. You're
What?
so famous.
I know.
Teaching me how to use whatever it is you're doing.
Cozy Camper does have a rendering problem for some reason. I don't want to bother with it, so we'll stay with the quiver. Alright, now it's time to light our model. The map lighting looks quite nice, but with some regular 3-point lighting we can do quite a bit more. The first lights that I like to set up are called rim lights. These lights go behind the subject facing the camera, and they're typically used to separate the subject from the background. You can use rim lighting basically wherever. It looks really nice. See how that one simple light just brings it all together. Look. See how much nicer that looks? There's a lot more character when you do your own lighting. The base game lighting is good, but we can make it so much better manually. Alright. I think I'm going to add another rim light. Be sure to disable shadows on these if need be. Maybe drag down the intensity a bit. There. Now with the second light, we're going to hit another rim light from the other side. You can use the horizontal FOV slider to determine how wide the light is, and you can use the intensity slider to decide how sharp the light is. I really want to get the suppressor lit like that. Yeah. It's a bit difficult. There. Now if we drag up, excellent. We can also use the max distance slider. Never mind. I forgot how to do that. I'm just gonna figure something out here. I think I'm actually going to do one more rim light. Be sure to disable shadows. It helps immensely. Alright. So now we're going to use our point light. In 3-point lighting, there's basically 3 points behind the subject, which is the rim lights which we just used. The point light, which is the strongest of the lights, typically is on an angle towards the subject. The sharpness of the angle is up to you. There we go. And now the fill light, which is typically a very, very weak light, fills in the shadowed area of the subject just so slightly. Now if we switch to our other timeline, you can see the full render. Doesn't that look nice? Alright. We think we're just about done, but I think I'm going to add one more thing, which is going to be some simple particles. If I browse in here, typically on the workshop you can find several different particles. This one's one I made myself using a tutorial. It is a simple snow particle. Oh, I need to be in this menu to use it. Of course. Seems to not be working properly, so I'm going to use Snow Heavy instead. Another one that I made. This one should help the image quite a bit. There we go. Alright, now that we have some simple snow going, you can see the motion blur on it looks quite nice. And I think we're just about ready to export. So if we go up to File, Export and Poster, we can go ahead and frame it and put it on our profile. Be sure to export as PNG. For some reason JPEG breaks the Steam upload. Alright. Thank you for watching this iteration of my supposedly new series called Posing with Dapper. Thanks, and see you next time.